welcome everybody to another edition, another podcast of Printing's Alive. Today we have another special guest. We are blessed with a guest. I said I would only use that when John Bailey was on, but I like it so much I'm going to keep using it. Today we have Steve Metcalf. Welcome, Steve.
Hey, Warren. Welcome yourself, and thanks for having me again.
Always a pleasure. So we have Steve Metcalf, who is the co-founder of Imagine AI Live. For full transparency, I will say it that I am a founding member, so I was there at the beginning with him and going along for the ride. And wow, what a ride! So first, I just want to touch on Imagine AI Live. For those of you that are tuning in for the first time and haven't heard of it or seen it, last year was our first conference. It was at the Fontainebleau. I speak with a little bit of a French accent being in Quebec. Fontainebleau, if you're true red-blooded American. And it was a year ago and all about AI, and blew me away completely out of the water, and actually blew everybody out of the water because I've never been to a conference where 500 people came and nobody left at the end, right? So, Steve, just give us a little bit of how did you come up with the idea for Imagine AI Live? I'll also add in that Steve was the founder, along with late Hans Uhlin, the Print UV, which we just had the Print UV conference, which was off the charts. But in no time at all, we were talking, and the next thing I know, you're putting together this conference, Imagine AI Live. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I remember the first time you and I spoke about it was January of last year, maybe 2024, and we kind of did our semi-annual check-in with each other, and you're like, "What's new?" Thinking that Print UV was really the new thing, but actually, I think that was when I first mentioned this idea for this conference about AI, Imagine AI. And if people kind of remember what was going on, I'll kind of tell you sort of how we came upon this, myself and a number of sort of co-founders and founding members that have come together to help make this happen. But we all remember our ChatGPT moments, I think, when, at some point we heard about this thing or got access to this thing called ChatGPT. A lot of us were on wait lists. It was all over the headlines. And I remember my ChatGPT moment was in November of 2022. It was after Thanksgiving here in the US. And I read about it, heard about it. It took me like a week to get into it when they finally let me log in and start using it. And I was completely blown away. I remember staying up all night with my college-age daughter and, coming up with all kinds of funny things. And I literally woke up the next day thinking, what can a business do with this? Like, this is game changing, because AI before that was not very good, at least the stuff we had been exposed to. And it was starting to creep into writing and marketing and things like that. But, you either had the realm of machine learning, which was kind of deep tech, stuff, or you had this sort of very immature, these large language models that were starting to emerge. But the ChatGPT moment with GPT, I think it was 3.5 at that time, really just hit me like a lightning bolt. Like, there's got to be a way to do something with business related to these things. So I started looking around for conferences and events, and there were a lot of great events out there that were deep tech, or there was NeurIPS, those were where the machine learning guys go to figure out how to do more machine learning and weights and biases and all that stuff. But there weren't really any conferences that looked like they were serving up the kind of thing where a business leader could go into and within 2 to 3 days just go in, get immersed, kind of like we did with Print UV, is literally, let's bring people that are really interested in this and going deeper in it, get them out of their daily flow. Because I think one of the challenges that we all face is that we're all busy. I mean, we all have day jobs and other things going on in our lives. To really sort of figure out, with this wave coming with AI, probably the most monumental thing that'll happen in our lifetime. How do we take advantage of it, harness it? How do we find our way with AI for our companies and our businesses? And we couldn't find the conference, so we thought, well, we'll take a page out of the playbook with Print UV and see if we can apply it to a broader audience. And that was how it was born. And then when I mentioned it to you in January of 24 of last year, it was well under its way. So somewhere in that 2023 timeframe that the idea started hatching. I remember writing some ideas down, reached out to the Fontainebleau. They weren't even open yet. So I got a hold of a salesperson there, and over the summer, and then that led to the first event, which was a sellout. And then we did another one-day event in New York City last year, which was awesome. But what we found, I think, is that the greater impact we can have is to really bring people into a multi-day event where there's time to network, there's time to discover companies, ideas, use cases, attend workshops. We're going to be running those this year. So that's really what this has kind of emerged into now, is kind of a year-round thing. And we're serving up content. So we record all of our content and we make that accessible to people that want to. If they can't make the event, they could just become a member and access our content, or they can come to the events and they get the membership thrown in as well.
Yeah, no. So what I remember last year was just, well, the whole AI thing when it came out and chat came out. I mean, AI's been around for a long time, but I think the average person doesn't know it because they never knew what it was until the chat came out. And then since chat came out, I've been kind of blown away because it actually makes my life easier every day. And I've only scraped the surface of it, right? Just making sure what I write and even coming up with ideas that are hard to get out of my head. You sit down and I mean, listen, you still got to check everything. You still got to read everything. You can't cut and paste. I will tell you, I remember a few people cutting and pasting. What they didn't realize was they never put their name in the brackets where it said, put your name in the brackets, right? So like the little things that you learn like that. But at the conference, I mean, it's like everybody in AI is a startup, right? As far as I'm concerned right now, because it's also new and everyone's vying for position. But the amount of people that were there presenting, the conversations going on. I mean, I was sitting next to somebody, and I don't want to say any names just in case, but I was sitting next to two people that actually made a deal. There was like a finance a capital company and then another software guy, AI, and they made a deal, and like it was like almost like a love fest. And the other thing was nobody left. Like,
Right.
I think if we didn't tell them you had to leave, they'd still be standing there.
A lot of
So it
people
was really
stayed
cool.
afterwards for the weekend too. Yeah, I like what you just said. You know, it's a good way of thinking about it. Everybody is a startup now. Again, it doesn't matter if you're the oldest, most established business in the world, or you're an AI startup company that's building, AI native. Everybody has this startup opportunity. It's kind of like when the internet first came out and businesses are trying to decide if it was a good idea to have a website or not. And I think that we're all kind of learning, hey, would it be a good idea to bring some AI into our companies? And if so, how and where and who's doing it and what platforms and tools do you use? And that's kind of what we're trying to get out there is to educate people, to let them discover this faster. And then really, I've always said the best conferences that I've ever attended are actually networking events, and they're just disguised as conferences. They have content. So you have something that's sort of programmed and structured, but you also have this sort of hive mind of activity that is going into it. And that's really the
It's
best part.
nonstop. I mean, what I liked about the event is going to sound kind of funny, but you had the light breakfast and you had the lunch and you had something after. So you're not trying to scramble to go somewhere or think what to eat in the hotel. You're getting all the resources you need in your belly to make it through the day. And it keeps you there because you're almost afraid to go somewhere to miss something. I mean,
Yeah.
I was walking by trying to talk to every single person just to find out who, what, how, and even in the sponsor room, we'll call it the sponsor room with all of our exhibitors. I mean, people were lining up to talk to everybody, so it was really, really. Anyways, it was off the charts, and I think it's good for anybody listening to either come or sign up and be a member and get the video because it's the only way you're going to find what's going on in AI where you're going to hear, unless you spend time on, YouTube looking. And there was a couple guys at the conference last year that have regular stuff on YouTube. Alex Northstar and I forget, Igor is another one. Igor's got 400,000 subscribers almost on YouTube now, and he's pumping out content on how to use everything every day. Right? There's Alex Northstar. He'll help you save 1 to 2 hours out of your regular day without getting fancy. Right?
Yeah.
It was just like, I mean, now I have chat and perplexity on my phone, and I use the audio voice for recording. And I'll just tell everyone real quickly. I did a LinkedIn post. I spoke into chat, told it what I wanted to do, prompted it properly. It wrote it. Then I attached an image, and then in less than 4 minutes, I had it up and posted. Where before it would take me 24 minutes because I'm looking and I'm checking and I'm thinking and I'm doing. right? So it was really just all amazing. What what turned you on the most? And then at last year's conference, and we'll go to this year's conference just
Yeah.
after. But I'm still reeling from it, and I still speak to people, by the way, who are like, oh my god, I can't either. I missed it, or I can't. I'm so happy I went, or it changed my life."
Yeah, I think we really somehow kind of, we struck the right chord with everybody, and the best conferences to me, as I mentioned, there's a vibe, there's a sharing vibe, a networking vibe, there's an energy to them. And maybe in part because during the pandemic, a lot of us were kind of locked up and we didn't really get out to these conferences and events. But it really kind of came back, and I think people crave this in-person experience, especially with AI, where it's getting harder and harder to tell what's real and what isn't. These are real people. These are AI first. These are some of the best AI first people that I've come across, and I hunt them for a living now. This is my job as an AI people hunter, and like I
An
said, we're
AI enthusiast.
enthusiasts, AI people that building some of the greatest tools and companies that a lot of folks have never heard of, and so that was really, I think, part of the magic of the original Imagine AI Live. We actually have some of the video footage of it running last year here, but it just was just such a great experience. And I usually, especially when you run a conference for the first time, usually there's going to be all kinds of glitches and people are upset about something. There wasn't. It was like I literally kept checking the front desk with our registration team. I said, "Is anybody like unhappy? Is there?" And they said, "No." They were stunned too. So really, really, I think it was hats off to really the team behind this. There are a lot of people that have come together that have really made this work for us. And of course, Warren, you're one of those guys. But we've got quite a few people that have literally stepped in and volunteered to help us. More recently, the Printing United team, people might recognize Mark Subers, has kind of stepped in. They're actually helping us run this printing industry track this year on May 28th on our arrival day in the afternoon, which is filling up pretty quick. But yeah, we've just got an incredible team behind this. Of course, the hotel makes it easy, and yeah, but the content,
You show up, you don't have to go anywhere. It's perfect.
it's the
You
content
know?
and it's the people, and this was the unlock that I was looking for. How do businesses get into AI faster? How do they do it the right way? How do they share their concerns, their use cases, their ambitions? And how do we serve it all up so you can really learn? The tagline I've kind of worked with is learn more in a few days, and most people are going to learn about AI in a year or two. And I really believe that's true. It's true for
I'm
me. So
I'm the perfect example, right? Because I knew a little bit, and talking to you, obviously, I know a little bit more because you talk about it all the time. And then at the conference, I had whiplash because I just wanted to hear everything and turning everywhere. And I'm going to give a plug right now to podcastai.com. The Printing's Alive podcast is done using Podcast AI's software. And basically, I upload my recording, and they do about 80% of the post production and the distribution. So for a monthly fee, which is crazy, because when I tried to do it on my own, A, I couldn't do it as good or as well. And AI helps with your English grammar, by the way, and your pronunciation. But I couldn't do it as well. And the final product was just, oh my God, it's like AI is everything's minutes, so to speak. Maybe a
mhm.
little more because you still got to learn it. But wow, so if you're going to do a podcast, check out Podcast AI. So let's move right now into our second annual event, which is taking place very shortly in May. Very nice. The good thing about May is if you stay a day, you can do the little pool party to rest after. But tell me what's special about this year, or what's the added bonus that we have coming?
I think, yeah, I mean, great question. And, I think one of the things we learned, so we're doing two full main tracks of content with our main stage, with everything, the networking, the exhibit, what we call the AI arena. We have a lot of companies that are going to be demos and just having discussions with people about what they're building. And that's all integrated together in kind of a networking hall. But we're also adding this sort of arrival day, which I mentioned, which we're running these, I call them AI acceleration workshops. So if you want to deep dive, we mentioned we've got one for the printing industry in conjunction with Printing United. We've got sponsors coming in for that as well, which is great. We also have we're working on one for AI in marketing and advertising, which is really related to growth. So a lot of companies are going to hear more about, one of the best use cases, and there's so many great use cases with AI, but it's around growth. It's around how do you go how do you scale marketing? How do you scale advertising? How do you do advertising? How do you get into sort of outreach and some of these things? And there's a whole series of tools that we're going to get into. So look for a track that we're going to be adding that's also on our arrival day to kind of deep dive and workshop that a bit. And we're bringing in some great people to hold court on that topic as well. But that's really what's different is we're adding these workshops and kind of in the main 2 days of the event, there will also be a side stage as well. So we'll have stuff for people that, hey, if you want to go in and kind of immerse yourself more in maybe the legal aspects of AI, we'll have some different topical tracks. Not so much that it's an overwhelming choice, but just enough so there's a little bit of variety and we can kind of keep people moving. Especially we'll do those in the afternoons. So that's really what's coming up. And of course, for those that have never been to the Fontainebleau, it is a treat among itself. So it is one of the nicest places, and we've got obviously an incredible rate to stay at this place. So we did sell our room rate, our booking block sold out last year early. So we encourage everybody to get that now. But yeah, that's, but I think beyond that, Warren, it's like the mix of speakers. We're bringing back some people that just have been phenomenal for us. And we're introducing some new folks. This guy, Nathan Lebenz, that I'm looking at here, really is, used to be a red teamer for OpenAI before most people had access to ChatGPT, and built a marketing company on AI called Waymark, which and he'll be talking about just,
he knows his shit.
He knows his stuff. Dan Soroker is another guy that we've been hunting. Dan, I've been hunting him personally for about 2 years now. He's the CEO of a company called Limitless, which used to be called Rewind. And they're the ones that are recording everything. And they have these pendants now. I actually have one over here that you can use quite literally. I used this at the Print UV conference to record my talk. And so you can transcribe your entire day. The use cases of this are endless, but these AI wearables that are coming out, and they're one of the lead horses in this right now, especially in the printing industry. Some of the use cases to record stuff that happens, on the factory floor, the shop floor, that just gets lost is really important. This guy to his right, Pietro, is works for Anthropic, which is one of the leading large language model providers, as a developer. And he's also built some amazing things, and he's building design tools for graphic designers now, which is incredible. So we're going to have this guy on stage, and kind of the list goes on. There's business people.
By the way,
doing
Andy Sack and his partner were awesome as keynotes last time. Like, absolutely. I think they got everybody on their toes the way they were talking. I mean, I remember one thing they said. They're two great guys, and you could look them up and see what their backgrounds are. But they said, we're partners and we never have issues. And the odd time that we're together and we have an issue, and to resolve it, we go to our third partner. We go to the third co-founder, and everyone's like, well, who's that? And he goes, ChatGPT. Can't argue with the facts. I thought that was pretty cool.
No, and it's a mindset change in how to lead now in business in the AI era. And we've got Alicia Bate.
Oh, she was
she's incredible. She speaks more from kind of a leadership in the era of AI, sort of the whole people and human element. We've got Michael Moe coming back. He's one of the most successful Silicon Valley venture capital firms.
He might buy your company there if it's good. You never know.
If you have a good company, Michael's got cash. And then you've got, as you mentioned, Alex Northstar. We bring a lot of these AI educators and influencers in. Kyle Corbett over here is a company called OpenPipe. He used to work for Sam Altman, and his company is building a platform where you can fine tune a language model. Let's say you have a large language model, but you got sensitive data, or you don't want to have it out there. You don't want to be putting your stuff into OpenAI all the time, or one of these other platforms. Or you want to train it to be more specific on your business. They're building a platform called OpenPipe, which allows you to fine tune models. And then, of course, John Rossman, who is fantastic. John's an ex-Amazon guy who wrote a book called Big Bet Leadership. He's going to be coming back to tease us with some new stuff that he's working on that we're also involved in. Yep, there's the book.
Got the book.
Yeah, some familiar faces here. My co-founder Chris Madden, Marco. Marco's one of the foremost, I guess, influencers and educators on how to use the image generation platforms like Midjourney and all the other things that are out there, including the video generation platforms. And we've got a few more people like Jared Liu
Yeah,
that do
Jared's
that.
great.
Exactly. Dustin Hollywood works for a Hollywood film studio. It's going to be talking about how they're using AI. The list goes on. So we've got some incredible folks. And we have another 6 people at least that need to be added on here that are going to be added this week. Aaron Lanuti is the Chief Innovation Officer of Omnicom, which is one of the largest agencies in the world, advertising, PR agencies. And this guy, Louis Rosenberg, I don't know if you've heard about this. When Chris Madden interviews people, he usually gives me a little ping when he's done with a guest. He was like floored when he interviewed Louis on our pod. I don't even know if the episode is out yet, but they're building this thing called Swarm AI, which allows you to AI and human teams to collaborate together, or human teams to work in sort of an enterprise or company setting, and allows AI to sort of augment the hive knowledge of everybody in a company. And then Nico Klemke, he's coming back. This is Neural Frames. They're doing some really cool stuff with AI, music and video generation. Daniel Cohen-Dumani is a guy that's building a platform to retrieve knowledge. And I'll have to stop there because that's as far as we have the roster right now, but it's filling up like every week. And every day we're interviewing more speakers and workshop leaders and panelists to join us. So yeah, that's what's really exciting about this year is now the conference, the word is out about the event. It's easier for us to get speakers, and we're getting some incredible people lined up.
Yeah, so the other thing that I liked about it is, with everybody coming and going, everybody was speaking for like 25 minutes or 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending. So you weren't getting too into it where you're not going to remember anything. It was just enough to get you excited to want to have conversation and keep it going after. But I walked away from it because, again, AI a year ago was a lot newer than it is now. And I mean, even today, I find that there are people that are fearful of it. And I'd like to remind everyone that you're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose your job to someone who knows AI more than you or better than you. So it's really important to not be afraid of it, kind of like Windows when it originally came out. And, most of us probably only use 6% of what Windows does anyways. But if you familiarize yourself with the AI and Imagine AI, great place to come learn about it, then you start to make use of it. You start to benefit from it because you're working with it. You're not afraid of it, right? And then, I mean, even me playing with it, forget work-wise, just the stuff you do on your own. I'll just give you one example for people that are listening. So I had to orchestrate a podcast with 3 people from around the world, all different time zones. Send out the email. They all send it back to me with their local times and when their availability is. My first thought was, oh shit, I'm going to take out an Excel sheet, put everything down there. Then I got to figure out daylight savings time. Then I got to figure out where they are. And then I just said, oh my God, stop. And I cut and pasted the whole thing into ChatGPT, and I prompted it to find me the dates that were common amongst the 3, to give it back to me in my local time. And it did, and it gave me back like 2 choices. I then narrowed it down to 1. I didn't want to give these guys 2 choices to go longer. And then I asked it to write the email to these executives. And then I said, could you make the email shorter, please? Because these guys don't read, they don't read, they're busy. And then it made it smaller. I sent out the email. Within like 36 hours, I had all my replies, everything was done, and boom. Yeah. And chances are, if I didn't have the AI, 36 hours later, I'd still be trying to figure out the time zones.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're describing it, and I keep reminding everybody, this is the worst it's ever going to be. The experience you just had blew your mind, and that's the worst that experience will ever be, because the stuff gets better literally by the week in many cases. And what you just described was what I would call a classic AI jam session, where you just go up and you take a hold of Claude, or you take a hold of ChatGPT, or pick your language model, Perplexity, and you just go to town and you just start. You get the work done, the derivative work. I love starting with a transcript from a call, so I usually will start with a meeting transcript, throw it in there, and then let's go to town now on the stuff we got to do, that we talked about. Exactly. But the cool thing is, that's just the tip of the iceberg. What I talk a lot about these days when I go out there and talk about AI, which I do a lot, to other groups. I've recently been at some of the Printing United events talking about it. I remind people that, hey, if you find an AI prompt that works, you can turn that into an agent. You can literally take a good prompt, turn it into what I call an agentic prompt, and then put inputs and outputs. So every time I give you X, you go do your cognitive thing, AI, and then you come out with Y on the other end. And then we put it together in a flow. So we can put it together using an automation layer, and there's so many of them available now. And you don't have to understand programming or anything to use these. They're all no code. We're going to be showing these at the event. There's a couple that I really like. They're similar to Zapier. Zapier is a great platform for those using it. But some of the newer ones are just AI native, top to bottom. And you'll hear about platforms like Gumloop, which is a really cool one. N8N, which is one out of Germany that's open source, very robust platform. And then you don't have to stop there. If you really like that thing, why not build an app around it? And AI can help you build apps. And so I always say that everybody has an app in them somewhere. If you have enough lived experience, you probably have more than one. And you can literally now go out and use tools like Replit or Bolt, or there's Lovable's another one, Cursor if you're a little more hardcore with on the software side, and you can literally create apps. In fact, the entire Imagine AI Live website that I showed you was designed by AI, was designed by one called V0, which is great at front end, and it was built by Cursor using Claude Sonnet 3.5, which is the language model behind. Cursor is a sort of a coding platform. And these things, again, this is the worst it's ever going to be. This is getting better and better. Every time I go make updates to the site, it gets easier now and easier. And people will ask me, Steve, who does your website? I'm like, well, I refer to them as we. When I say we, it's like me and the AI agent.
The team AI.
Yeah, me and Cursor. So yeah, it's just incredible. It's an incredible time to be doing and thinking about this stuff. If you're running a company or in a business, this is like one of the most incredible times we've ever gone through. We thought the internet was pretty important. The internet was just a staging ground for what's happening now with cognitive intelligence.
Yeah, no, it's oh my God, when the computer came out and then the internet came out, it was great. I don't even know how to explain this. It's just so, it's almost like I always used to joke, and other people too, I guess, that we're in the future where the movies relating to the movies we watched back then. Star Trek, we had the Motorola flip phone. And then the only thing that now we're in space and we're talking, and even this, the chatting and the riverside, like where does it all go? The only thing we're missing from Star Trek is you just where you can transport yourself from one place to the other. But it's really I keep using it just for my personal stuff, but in business I was doing it to track some things that I was doing continuously, putting in new updates, and then it just organizes it for you. I took the Print UV. I took the whole list of all the attendees, and before Katie sent us the Excel one, and I took the other one, a paper one, and I scanned it. I put it in, and I drafted an email to send to everybody, just thanking them for coming to the show. And I was like, oh my God, that was like, I had like 6 hours left in the day. I didn't know what to do. I mean, there's always something to do,
Yeah,
but it really is incredible. And when I think about work now, and I think about the printing industry, the first thing that comes to my mind, only because I think of the press, but for all the problems that people have on the printing presses or the digital presses or whatever equipment, you set up a little model to have there, the computer there, or you have it on people's phones. They could talk in all their problems, all their solutions, reference the dates, reference the docket, the job, the customer, etc. And anyone who ever has a problem similar to that is going to go in and put it in, talk it, or type it, and up will come a few, resources that are there. I mean, when you were when you were in the UV and going around, and you were on our press, you could be there for hours and hours and hours just trying to figure out something so small that somebody forgot.
absolutely. I mean, it's like the knowledge was so precious and scarce before AI, right? So you had to have the person with we always had one or two technicians in my Pierre Gelinas comes to mind. He was probably in your plant quite a bit because he was
100
based out of
times.
Montreal. And Pierre was this walking encyclopedia. He knew everything to check. He knew all how to troubleshoot everything on not just the UV system connected to your press. He knew a lot about the press itself and the UV process. And so we would get calls from customers like, yeah, we want Pierre. Not that our other techs weren't great, but they want Pierre, because he would start to learn their environment, their equipment. Now you don't have to. I mean, we love Pierre, but you can clone that kind of knowledge. You can ingest that kind of information from your experts, from your not just your in-house experts, from your supplier experts, and you can put that into a private chatbot knowledge base, and you would be amazed at how resourceful that is and how helpful that is. And I'm working with quite a few companies now that are doing just that, and the results are just getting better and better and better.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Listen, I was sitting around just the other day on the couch, just to be funny, but I was thinking like, okay, maybe I'm going to get another tattoo. And then it's always, what are you going to get? What are you going to get? And then I thought of, I was thinking of the Nova Music Festival, October 7th, and I came up and with through prompts, I had it design the tattoo, like the turntables, because it was the music festival, the date, and that, we'll never stop dancing. And I did that in minutes, and I just kept reprompting to make some changes and adjustments. And I'm like, oh my God, how amazing, And
Yeah.
then I go and I use it for work and to write something, or even so. The one thing that I was with some people the other day, and then they were talking about, oh, it's not good because it's bad for their industry, and they were lawyers and whatever, and I'm kind of chuckling because the lawyers didn't complain when Uber came out and changed the taxi industry.
Right. Right.
Now that technology is hitting their industry, they're getting a little like, I don't know, the hair on the back of their neck is rising. But I took a contract that I was given, I uploaded it into chat and asked it to act as my lawyer and advisor, and if it could just give me the good, the bad, the ugly of the contract. And I kid you not, I probably saved $2,500 on the first read just to pull out the stuff that was really relevant, but I was able to go back with and converse with them on. And then, maybe before you go to sign, then you need your lawyer to do a final read to give
You still
you.
need the lawyers to grease the skids and call the judge and set things
Right.
up. You still need lawyers to help you with deal making, but a lot of that cognitive process, all the front end stuff, and you're going to see this in every knowledge intensive industry. All that front end work or repetitive work is just going to go to large language models and you're going to see it in advertising, you're going to see it in big consulting, you're going to see it in law. And what it makes you think about is that those industries have been profiting on an information scarcity arbitrage for decades, since inception. So the experts have all the knowledge, and then they can bill themselves out at high prices to people that need that knowledge when they need it, because it's very hard for everybody to be an expert all the time in anything. Well, now AI is an expert in everything, and it's at PhD level reasoning capability, research capabilities. It is literally completely disruptive for those industries, but they'll adapt. They'll figure out, the stuff that, in advertising, you still need people to go produce if you want to actually hire a live actor, which maybe going away too. You still need somebody to go produce the commercial, and you've got, but so much of this stuff can be automated now.
Well,
And
I'll give you an example. Like I'll plug it again because I always got to plug it in case you didn't know. But I wrote a book. Okay, I didn't really write a book. I had an author help me out, a ghostwriter, call it what you want. But even through that exercise, at one point I said to him, I said, "Are you using chat?" And he said, "A little bit." And I asked him, I said, "Are you afraid that you're going to lose your job, right, to chat?" And he basically said, "Yeah." And I said to him, "I think you've got it all wrong." I said, "Chat's only going to make your life easier." I said, because now maybe people will come to you with more of an idea, maybe a partial transcript of what they're thinking to build it on. And then you can go, from there and expand on it. And then there's still the proofreading. That's human because you can't trust a machine. I still find some things when I reread it. I said, so your job will change. But a friend of mine said to me, why didn't you use chat when you do your book? And then you could have saved some money and not used, the writer. And to people listening, you need to know this. I don't know writing. So I don't even know if chat's giving me something good or not because it's not my field that I'm in, right? Maybe down the road, if I write a few books, I'll get the hang of it. So you still need the experts out there, but the AI is really good at helping you compile the data and the information that you need. So the humans are still going to be there to give you the feeling, to give you the emotion, to give you the feedback. AI is not going to cry when it reads a part of your book that's sad. When you're proofreading it, then you're going to feel it.
Yeah.
So I think it's really pretty cool.
And what you said there just made me think of this too, is it's humans still have taste. Okay. We know what we like and what we don't like. We may not necessarily, music's a good example. Not all of us can play guitar, like, Eric Clapton or Jimi Hendrix or you name it. But we know what good guitar sounds like when we hear it. And one of the things with AI, these large language models were trained on the entire body of human knowledge, like the good and the bad, the great stuff and the crappy stuff. And so in those models, as they write for you or as they produce things for you or do other cognitive work, they've been in the training process. It was very hard to get all of that out of there. So they still have kind of bad output or stuff that's, subpar if you're a writer, and they don't necessarily carry the taste. Now you can prompt them to have taste. You can say, you can ask a large language model in a chat session to behave as if you're the editor of the world's greatest publishing house, and then take a critical look at the manuscript. You can do things like that, but you have to. Those are some techniques that takes a little while to learn, and you're not always going to get it perfectly from an AI. But you have to think of it kind of like a multi-step process. Here's the thing we want to write about. Expand on it. Go do the writing, and then here's an editor that goes in and checks whether that's which version and for what reason would you pick, or how would you change it. And what I just described there is an agentic flow where you're going to see these sort of collaboration of agents that are going to be all AI based, but each one has a different role and a different objective, just like humans do.
Yeah, no, it's pretty. I think you just got to jump on the wagon and not pretend that it doesn't exist. And even if you just start playing around with it yourself, get a little comfortable with it, and then once you see, oh my God, it's really. Listen, for people listening, I'll give you another thing. Like, I've got I've got a lot. I get a lot of great ideas and a lot of thought in my head that I can't always get out or get to that first sentence, pen to paper. And, using chat, I just sit there and I just type or talk in a few things that I'm thinking out loud. And then I say, can you help me create my first list or first thoughts of what I'd like to, what I'm thinking and summarize. And it puts it out. And then all of a sudden from there, I'm off to the races. So I've saved that. I'll call it writer's block, just so people could understand when you're just sitting there staring at your screen and you don't know what to do. But wow. Just great. And then we had young Spielberg there with his music,
Yep.
which was just off the charts. So we're getting it. We're feeling it everywhere.
There's a retraining of kind of the rewiring of our minds, I think, that has to happen. I don't know if you ever noticed this, but like, when you hang around a lot of creative people, it could be said probably in a similar way if you hang around a lot of technical people or engineers. If you hang around a lot of creative people, especially people that do, creative for a living, advertising, creatives and so forth, their minds their pathways become wired to think of creativity all the time. So it's kind of like a musician. The more you play, the better you get. The more you use that aspect of your mental energy, the better you get, the easier it gets for you to be creative. And I think the same applies for using AI. It's almost like we've been trained our whole lives that, well, you have to do this. You have to think every problem through until your brain hurts. No, you don't have to anymore. But you rethink, hey, this would be a great way to bring to the AI to help. And here's a great way to set it up for the AI, to start me on the process or whatever. And so I think that takes a little time and practice. And, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, when I was out there talking to people, I would always do show of hands, how many people use ChatGPT or something like it. And everybody had heard of it, but a lot of hands went down when we were saying, okay, who's using it? And so now I ask the question, because now pretty much everybody's tried these things. It's like, well, how many people are using it every day, multiple sessions a day? And that's, why wouldn't we use it as often as we're picking up our phones, to help us with a thing, right? So I think that's where we're starting to see that sort of broader adoption. And as people get more comfortable and their minds get sort of rewired to think, what can the AI do for us? Life gets easier. You get more productive free time, and you start imagining all the other things that you can do with AI. Like, what if I turn this into an app, that just did it for me every day, or agents? And there's so much stuff coming our way, and that we'll be talking a lot about this year at the conference too.
Yeah. Another area that I really like, and I'm thinking just the basic human stuff. Even when I write an email and it gets a little long, I'll take the email and I'll put it into chat and I'll prompt it to polish it up, or, make the points that I want to make evident. Or I had to write an email that, like, it was a little nasty, and I put it into chat and I said, okay, can you please get these critical points across? Make me sound professional. Take out the emotion. There's no vengeance in it. And when it finished, I was like, oh my God, in 100 years, I could never write an email like that. Also, I'm not a wordsmith, but that just made it quicker. And then, the other and with everyone using AI, because I've had some people say, oh, well, you used AI. And I'm like, yes, so what? So what? Everybody's using it now. It's fine. It's good. Just reread what you're writing, know what you're writing. If you're questioned, you should know what you wrote anyways and sent off to somebody. Right. But it's great.
It's a question like, does anybody question when you pull out a calculator or use a calculator on your computer or your phone? Does anybody say, hey, buddy, that's
they used to.
You should be doing long division by hand on a napkin. And you're like, no, that would make my brain hurt. So I think we're going to see the same way as, like, dude, that's a thing you should bring to AI. Just like you should Google it instead of going and finding the yellow pages. It's just this change that it's all gonna feel pretty normal, I think, pretty soon. And the young people now that are coming into this world out of high school into college, they're going to be
that's what they know.
They're already getting in trouble with their teachers, but I think the right teachers in our schools and universities
are embracing it.
That this is a tool they're going to have, and let's get you better with the tools. Let's not, so you're not necessarily doing something and never checking it, but you're becoming the orchestrator. You're still the creator, but you're using AI powered cognition and computation and reason.
To get
it done.
Right. I remember in school, I got in trouble for cheating. Now the kids are allowed to bring cheat sheets into class, right? Whatever they can get on a piece of paper. I have to have it on my arm, on my upper lip, and whatever, and then I'd be in trouble. Now it's acceptable. Yeah. So AI will just take that to another level, and it's also like a game. So the more people that like it, the more people that use it, the more people will learn. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
The old sort of emphasis on memorization of everything, I think that's going away. It's like, really what we should be teaching people is how to be resourceful. How do you use AI in a good way that helps you accomplish things faster, get more time back in your life if that's what you desire, or maybe you just want to be 10x, 100x more productive and work the same number of hours. I know some people like that. They work more with AI because they can get more done, and it's kind of a thrill. But at the end of the day, it should be a tool, a power tool for your mind, is an analogy I've kind of often used, much like you probably are not going to use a handsaw over the weekend where you're going to be working on your, the shed that you're building or the deck that you want to add to your porch. You're probably going to be bringing a power tool, a power drill, a power saw, etc. And you can kind of see where this goes. So when you start doing the thinking that hurts your brain, start bringing those power tools, and we're already seeing the effects.
Oh, it's great. Okay, let's switch up here. We have just because a lot of people in the world of print listen to the podcast. We've got a special track running at Imagine AI with Printing United, printing impressions, printing the main
They own
association.
the printing root word. I think that's
Correct.
Printing United Alliance, which is the largest association, at least in this side of the world, for the printing industry. It's membership based, but they also do a lot with for the industry in terms of shows and expos and leadership summits. And in fact, there's going to be another one on the inkjet summits happening, I think, in here coming up very quickly in April. And I'll be there. But the coolest thing is the people that run the Printing United Alliance are very forward-thinking folks. And we started chatting about this, months ago. I spoke at their event, the expo they did last year in Las Vegas. Warren, you were there. We were all there. And I spoke on AI. It was they gave me a little side stage for a while, and it was a packed event. Met some great people out of it too. But one of the things that it kind of later emerged was this idea of let's do an AI event for the printing industry. And because we're already running Imagine AI Live for basically 2.5 days, it just made sense to let's just add a whole printing industry day track onto that. And you're going to be helping out as the MC to keep this thing, on the right rails. Rolling.
By the way, I'm super excited because you're in print with me for a long time. It is a slow moving industry, right? So I am super excited to get this little jump start and kick some people in the ass. And some of them have already awoken. But what an opportunity to have these people that I'll call them leaders in print because they're coming to this event. And then they'll be able to take back what they see and what they learn and start to spread it around. And then we will expand on it because the more people using it in the world of print, the better it is. It'll help with production. It'll help with people's bottom line. And I say that because the industry predominantly has low margin. So let's use this to help it and help the customer.
And I've never, I've been around a lot of industries in my career, my adult life. The printing industry is really one of the best for AI because you can. There's so many different kind of, I want to call them attack vectors, but maybe use case vectors is probably the better way. First of all, printing itself is a creative industry. Like there's a lot of innovation, a lot of innovative people already. The kinds of work that you do, and there's this aspect of art and creativity that is sort of the driving force of what goes into print. Everything that you see, whether it's printed content, words, or whether it's imagery, that's all coming together, and AI can help in all of that aspect of it. AI is great at data, so it's great at wrangling. You imagine you had a large factory at one point. All the data flying off of machines and the production schedules and all the headaches, all the variables that go into the print process, the chemistries, the inks and the coatings, the substrates, the temperatures and the humidities, and the machines are getting more and more sensorized all the time. What if you could take all that data, and no one's ever going to look at that data stream, but AI will. AI would love to do that for you, and it would do it dirt cheap, $20 a month.
And then you ask any question you want that you're thinking, and you'll get an answer.
How did our machine run last night? How did it run? There you go.
Well, listen, estimating makes it quicker once you've put in your information. You will never have to do a job again that you didn't make money on. Right. Because you could prompt the AI to tell you, right, analyze cost versus run.
Deselect all the customers that we lost money on.
Right. No, exactly. Yeah. And then you could actually take that and post it out there so other printers know, and you could help the brotherhood or the sisterhood.
Well, and then you turn around and when I talk to printing industry leaders, you say, hey, what problem would you love to solve? A lot of it's growth. A lot of it's like growing our company, our business. AI is perfect for outreach, for market research, for reaching out to new customers, unlocking doors, writing emails to them that don't sound like they're cringe. There's just so many potential use cases, and that's just another reason. So when this printing industry day or afternoon that we're having on May 28th will precede the general conference, but it's a chance and everybody attending can attend the entire conference. That's the whole point of it. But they'll have this sort of afternoon of printing industry specific discussion that we're pulling in some really cool people to take part in panels and lead some talks. And we've got some sponsors that we'll be announcing very soon as well. So stay
Cool.
tuned.
Oh no, I think it's oh man, I think just the AI in general. I mean, it's the talk of the town to begin with, but for anyone who has the opportunity to come, anyone in print who gets to jump on it. The other thing is, I just want to mention with all this AI out there, you still have to be really careful because there's a lot of companies, call them startups, that are, I won't say scamming you, but they're talking really fast and they're getting you to buy in, and it's 2, 3 grand a month for this or that, and a lot of lead gen stuff out there. Just please still be careful, still have your guard up. It's not perfected, and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money and find out that it wasn't useful, right? So coming to the conference actually is another reason, because you're going to learn here and know more, so that when you're in front of AI or people, you'll be able to ask some relevant questions. You won't be like that newbie or a stranger. You'll know some of the lingo and you know how to get around it.
Yeah, and
So it's
that's a great
pretty,
point. I mean, we're all getting inbounded with more stuff than we can possibly imagine. And if you're running a company, um, your team is everybody in your company is getting inbounded by new tools. They all look and sound great. A lot of these, it's easier than ever to start an AI company. So you're going to get a lot of these tools that may sound very professional and vetted that aren't. That they just came out of nowhere. And one of the purposes that we're serving at Imagine AI Live is to try to help vet and curate some of the platforms and tools that are out there. You know, we're bringing real people that have innovative companies. They're well backed. If they're not well backed, we'll tell you. You know,
but
but
you basically
a lot of
vetted
them have
them,
great ideas, right? They're just getting started.
right?
And we bring very established companies in, so it's a little easier to navigate in the different domains of a company or your business. You know, where do we, you know, place some bets or maybe pull people together, you know, so that we're not chasing every shiny AI object that comes our way.
Yeah, no, it's so easy to get sucked into that vortex of it. You know, you're just looking and listening. Listen, I've been on a few calls with a few of these AI lead gen companies, and you know, at the end of the day, actually, I'll just tell you something that just recently happened with one, and you guys should be, girls should be aware of it. I get an email on LinkedIn from the CEO of a company saying, "Hey, this is what we do. Would you like to meet?" I replied and said, "Hey, great. Would love to meet. Traveling. Try me next week." Then it came back and it said, "Are you available Wednesday for an appointment or an online meeting?" And I said, "No, I'm traveling right now. Call me next week." Then it came back and it said, "Oh, are you available on Monday?" And I went, "No, now you can go back and tell your team how you just lost a really solid lead by pushing it too far, because they didn't train their AI to respond to the right response, because they had me. I was in, and after
Mhm.
I was done.
Yep. Now,
So
these AI agents that help do your calendar, they do outreach for you. They're coming fast and furious, and we're actually going to be dog fooding a couple of these for Imagine AI Live. I don't think I've even told you about it yet, but we've got a couple on the docket that we're going to. One of our sponsors is a company called Ignite Tech. They were there. Eric Vaughn, their CEO,
mhm.
spoke at both of our events, and they're bringing out. They've already started bringing it to market. Several different AI tools that uh, you know are using basically video avatars as sort of your it's taking chatbotting to a whole nother level as one use case. But you could also internally clone an avatar. If you're the CEO of a company, you can train an avatar on your likeness and have it give a talk to your entire company every Monday morning, and you just have a ChatGPT script go into it, or you have another agent that is answering your emails all day long and just learns how to answer your inbox and set up your calendar. And so we're going to be dog fooding
Amazing.
some of it. When you see me at Imagine AI Live, ask me how it's going, and I'll tell you what our experience is so far with it. But yeah, it's a strange world that we're in now, and you absolutely are right. You've got to be a little bit, keep your guard up, but don't do it so to a point where you've got the brakes on everything and you won't try anything either. This is a chance really to experience the future. It's happening so fast.
Ah, love it, love it, love it. Cool. Wow, that was a great little session on AI. I'm hoping everybody that's listening that you got to the end. First of all, I always hope people get to the end.
Get to
A lot of
the end.
content, a lot of
You're coming to Imagine AI Live, and we will see you there.
Yeah, a lot of content out there, but Imagine AI is definitely where you want to be. The AI is absolutely where you want to be. The way the tracks run, I'm not pushing it just because I'm a founding member. I'm pushing it because it actually kept my attention the whole time, which, if you know me, it's pretty hard. So yeah, anybody wants to know anything about AI, Imagine AI, feel free to reach out to me. When this is posted, I'll have Steve's email in the section, so you can reach out to him if you have any questions. Any departing words, Steve, before we go?
No, I think this, like I said, if anybody has listened all the way through, congratulations. But this is a great time to be doing what you do, and learning and investing in AI is one of the most important things you could be doing right now. Just to up level yourself, your company, your team, explore the ideas and the opportunities. So if you want to find us, we're www.imagineai live, imagine like imagination, AI.live. Check it out. And if you go over to the Printing United, I think if you just Google it, you'll get to the registration page for the Printing United Alliance sponsored Imagine AI Day, which is May 28th. And hope to see, it's already filling up. Hope to
I
see
was gonna
many
say,
people there.
sorry, for the print people, like it's over 50% or 57% filled. A lot of those people were at the leadership summit, so look to the leaders, see what they're doing, and beat out the rest of them and come sign up before it's too late and sold out. But awesome, Steve, it is always a pleasure to chat with you, be it here on the phone or live. But love the AI stuff. Um, to everybody else, I hope you really enjoyed it. I'm just going to put out there, if anybody out there knows anyone who should be on this podcast, who has something to print to talk about, something AI to talk about, something, anything to talk, mergers, acquisitions, lawyers, accountants, I don't care. Anything as long as it's interesting and related in some way to print, what we see, what we do, what we touch, that would be great. Otherwise, Steve, thank you again. Everybody else, we will see you back here soon.
Thanks, Warren. Appreciate it.
Pleasure's mine always. Cheers.